You're listening to the Be Forever Cool podcast. My name is Rex 45. This evening we got Tyson on the show. Tyson, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
How's it going, Rexy? Thanks you for inviting me here. Certainly have some fun.
Yeah, for sure. How's your day been so far?
It's been good. Just work, came home. Typical. Nothing new, nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah, listen, man. Those, I think when I was younger, I used to always try to look to do stuff, but now having typical days is nice.
Yeah,
like running around and being too chaotic every day is not good, much less once in a while.
I know we had some weekends where it was like one thing after another, just weekend after weekend after weekend after weekend of doing stuff, and I was like, can we have like 2 weekends just to ourselves? Me and my girlfriend, like, I'm tired.
yeah, man. No, it's definitely, you need those. They're very important. Downtime is always good to recharge and before you get back out there. So yeah, man. Let's talk about riding and how you got into it. Like what was your first bike or what inspired you to get on a bike?
Yeah, I mean, my dad got me into bikes. I must have been 7 or 8. I think it was like the second, third grade. He got me a XR70.
Oh wow!
It was like a 99 or like a 2000 XR70. That thing was a blast. Just messing around that like as a kid. Went from an XR70 to a CRF 150. A couple years later, kind of deal, and then kind of didn't really ride much from like 11, 12 to like 18. Just hard to get out to some trails, and you don't have a truck, you can't drive, like you have to rely on other people to take you out there, kind of deal. So
right. And so does your dad ride? And were you riding on the back of his bike and stuff like that before you got your own?
No, I actually grew up with his heyday stories of riding at Loudon back in the day. There was 2 boxes of like trophies. Like back in the day, we actually gave trophies instead of like the medallions, and there was like 2 large moving boxes full of them. Just as a kid, oh my god, you're so good. Like, oh, tell me stories. What about the racetrack? And he probably was racing from like, I don't know, 88 to 92 ish.
Oh, wow.
Somewhere in that area is when he was racing. He had a Honda Hawk GT650. The SV or the Honda of SVs, I guess.
Right. So he must know Paul Duvall and those guys.
He might. He's just not a really social guy.
Okay,
so I don't think he knew anybody, frankly. And I don't think anybody knows him. Like if I went up to Paul Duvall, I was like, hey, you know Glenn Jameson? They'd be like, no, who is this guy? I haven't heard that name in 35 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how I started, just sort of chatting with him, and knew he raced motorcycles and he knew how to ride. And, being a boy, like, dinosaurs, trucks, and bikes, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's how it kind of started with the dirt bikes. And then as I was getting older, I wanted a street bike and just nagged my parents constantly for a street bike. And, my dad was always like, I don't really care as long as you don't buy a 600 as your first bike, which was very sound advice, which I kind of listened to. But my mother eventually just got so badgered and beaten by me, just like annoying them, that she was like, you know what, as long as you live in my house and you're in high school, you cannot own a motorcycle. And I said, deal. And the day after graduation, I traded my 97 Jetta for a 92 Katana 600.
Oh wow, it was a 16 valve Jetta, 2-liter Jetta, 8 valve.
I don't remember. I just remember it was a Jetta Jazz. I mean, it was okay, terrible.
Yeah. I know that one actually. So that was like the A3 Jettas, right?
I think so. Yeah, it was like the square ones.
Yeah.
Not like the completely square ones of the 80s, but like the intermediate between like sort of the more rounded angles and the literal rectangles that they were selling at one point.
I had an 87 8 valve Jetta, and then I had a 91 GTI 16 valve.
Nice.
Big fan of Volkswagen. I mean, I've owned a lot of Volkswagens, but yeah. So wow, like I mean, for me, I wanted a dirt bike, and my mother was just like, "You're gonna kill yourself. You're not getting one."
That sounds like a familiar story with a lot of boys.
Yeah, with a Jamaican accent. So, so that was it. There was some kids in the neighborhood that had dirt bikes, and we had this field at the time that you could, they used to ride around and do jumps and all that stuff. So yeah, it's pretty wild. So, but you were that convinced that you're like, as soon as you graduated high school, you're like, I'm getting a bike. So like, what did you get?
I got a 92 Katana 600.
Okay, nice.
It was a hot piece of garbage. It
Yeah.
still is. I still have it, shockingly. I mean, no one wants it, so it's easy to keep in that sense.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, I just wanted a bike, and I knew if I got a Gixxer 600, my dad was literally going to like murder me or just like take the ignition out of it, or because he was a former like Honda mechanic too. So like I'm an 18-year-old kid. I don't know what's going on. Like he could easily just
Right. Is
disable it.
Is the Katana back in the day bike like the new I don't know, Ninja 400 or the new like entry level? Because a lot of people had Katana bikes back in the day that I saw. Right, I didn't know these people, but I saw a lot of Katanas.
I guess so. We got to think too. This was 2012. Like this was a 20-year-old motorcycle at that point. Like no one had katanas when I had a katana.
Okay,
like,
gotcha.
Yeah, like I did not have them when they were cool or anybody wanted them. Like they hadn't made them for like 10 years at that point. So yeah, someone had like Street Fightered it. There was no gauges on it. Had the crappiest headlight that someone just like mounted to the front forks. It was a terrible bike, but it was also amazing because it was my first bike.
Gotcha.
Learned a lot of lessons on that.
Yeah, so so you got that bike. Oh, did you was your mother like okay, fine at that point, or because she said what she said, she had to stand by it?
I think she didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. She was pissed. Yeah, she was not happy about that. But I think she just came to the point of like, he's an adult. I gave him a clear boundary and he listened. Yeah. He just waited till the exact moment that became true and just acted upon it. So she just kind of was like, I think she was just like, I just have to eat my words here and accept my fate, essentially. Yeah. And so that's kind of how that went down.
Wow. And what did Dad say?
He's quiet. He didn't say much. He's like, yeah, it's a bike. And he's like, at least it wasn't a Gixxer. Okay. And I was like, yeah, fair enough. I mean, what the Gixxer had like 100 horsepower at the crank, when they came out, and then like the Katana is the Katana is essentially a Gixxer, but with just not great stuff. Like, it was a steel frame, had terrible brakes, didn't have all the, jazzed up, internal components that the Gixxer had. So, it was making 65 horsepower, 70 horsepower at the crank, something like that for a 600 inline four, like it was pretty anemic, but, it was good for what it had to do. It was just.
Gotcha. And so like, and where did you grow up and what was riding like once you got the bike? I mean, I know because I think everyone that jumps on a bike have a similar feeling, but like, what was it like, for you, when you jump on a bike and, were you graduated high school? So were you going off to school and riding to school, or just kind of just wherever you felt like going that day you rode?
Yeah, I just basically used it for transportation that summer. I ended up doing a postgraduate year at Bridgeton Academy that following year. So I was still like, I grew up in Maine in the, mid-coast area up near like Brunswick. Okay. So just sort of like coastal roads kind of deal. But so I was just kind of commuting back and forth to work, and then school went around and I didn't bring it to school, and I just basically used it as a summer vehicle, which is essentially all I needed it for. Like, I'm not using it in the winter. I don't need a car in the winter anyway. I'm at school. So it kind of was like almost a perfect little vehicle for me at that time. So.
Gotcha. And you still have it. So like how long did you ride it before you decided to park it? And did you get something else after that?
I certainly did. I have quite the stable at this point.
Oh, nice. Let's hear it.
I just struggle to get rid of them. That's the problem. So I bought the Katana, and that probably was running for a good 3 or 4 years. It came to a point like sort of towards the end of my college years that like I just didn't really care enough about it to put work into it to get it to continue to run,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's just been sitting in the shed since then. Haven't tried, but when I graduated from sorry, scratch my knee.
No worries.
Graduated from college, I ended up buying a Buell 1125 CR
Okay.
as my
Wow.
next bike,
Yeah.
and that was a blast. I mean, like obviously big bore V twin thing, just it had like dude put a tune on it and that sort of stuff. So she ran pretty good and she was quick. I couldn't handle it at all. Like it was definitely way faster than what I should have bought, but it was definitely a fun bike, just not in Arizona. Sorry, I went to school in Arizona and that's where I bought it, and I
Okay.
eventually brought it to Maine with me when I like left school. So sorry,
Wow.
go ahead.
Yeah. That's kind of like me. I mean, my second bike was 1198S. My first
Nice,
bike was a Street Fighter
nice.
848. And like a year, I think it was like, I bought my bike in 2012. And in 2013, I bought my 2010 1198S.
Nice.
And it was the same thing, like way too much power. I mean, even my
Yeah.
848 was way too much, not way too much, but too much power for me to learn how to ride and get comfortable riding and stuff like that. So you graduate, you have the Buell, and you're riding in Arizona. Just because the temperature is too hot. Because I got to assume they got some good roads out there to at least
They've got great roads, but yeah, the temperature was it would overheat. Like I couldn't drive it anywhere longer than like 20 minutes because
No
it would just
kidding.
overheat. Yeah, in the Phoenix at least. Like so, what I have to do is I would leave early in the morning, and I'd go ride out into like the mountains because like
Yeah.
it takes you an hour to get outside of Phoenix, and then you're gaining elevation in any direction basically. So, I'd go up to like Flagstaff area. It'd be much cooler, and the bike would be great. And then I'd roll back through Phoenix at like 4 or 5 o'clock, and it's still 100 degrees outside, and things just like I'd stop and get a drink, chill for 10-15 minutes, drive another 5 miles. Yeah, that was kind of a miserable experience, but it was still fun. Like I enjoyed it, learning with it,
Right.
that kind of deal.
I've had cars that the clutch cable would break, and I'd have to drive it for a few days before I could get to the mechanic. So a lot of double clutching and figure it, starting in gear doesn't move off at a light and stuff.
Hopefully
like
you weren't
that.
granny shifting either. So
Exactly. No, it was not. So how long did you stay out in Arizona with that bike, or did you get another bike while you were out in Arizona? And do you still have the Buell as well?
Actually, the Buell is the only bike I've gotten rid of.
Okay.
Frankly, I really like the bike, but it just no one will do work on it. Like I was begging people to work because I was tired of dropping the motor to do any sort of engine work on it, and I was begging people to like do work for me. And I called anybody within like a 300-mile radius of my house, and they all told me to pound sand. And so I was like, well, I want something that's reliable. I want something I can ride, and then if I really want to, I can fix it. But if I don't want to, I can just be like, hey, shop down the street, will you fix my clutch or whatever? And I don't have to worry about it. I'll just pay you money. Like I don't care. So that kind of was the experience with the Buell, but it was fun. I bought it after I graduated. I was only in Arizona for the summer at that point, and then in October after graduation, I moved back to Maine. Got a U-Haul truck, strapped it down, stopped at the Dragon on the way. That was fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was definitely great driving. But then eventually brought it up to Maine, had it for a couple years. I just sold it a year or two ago to a fellow track rider.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think it blew a valve, and I told him, I was like, I fixed it, but then I think it lost like the front coil, so it's only running on one cylinder. I genuinely don't know what's going wrong with it, and I'm so sorry. But this is sight unseen kind of deal. Like this is what I'm telling you. I have no idea. And he bought it, and then it like blew a valve, so he had to like basically rebuild the motor. And I felt bad, but I was also like, join the club.
Yeah, I mean, but you were straight up, so it is what it is. And I've bought a KTM RC 390 cup bike, and had to get the motor rebuild like a year later. It is what it is, And I can't speak for the Buell, but the KTM's, the single cylinder, they need TLC.
Yeah, I haven't heard any good things about them, frankly. Like I remember they came out, everyone was really like raving about them, and then like a year or two later, they're like, "Yeah, the motors are junk."
On the Buell or the KTM?
No. So the KTM, the 390s specifically.
I do like them. I do like racing them. I don't like you, but you do have to check the valves on it. But I was fortunate to ride a race in Ninja 400 earlier this year. And I still like my KTM's as far as on the track. And so I have a 22 KTM now, which is engine is better, and so
390
forth.
as well.
390 as well. So, but yeah, if you're racing, you're taking the engine apart every year. And there's some guys that race that they probably taking the engine apart a couple of times a season, as well. So that's the downside of that bike. When that bike is on a track, it's such a nice bike.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's just a single cylinder though. Like worst case, okay, one cylinder. It's not that bad,
Yeah, and for me, I'm gonna start learning how to do that stuff because it's not that bad. It's only one cylinder and so forth. And I've had, I guess I've been like 4 years now since I've had them. Oh, I had the 2015 and at the end of 2020, and in 2022 I got the RC, the 2022 version. So like they've been really good so far for me overall, but the class as far as racing and stuff like that is there's not a lot of Ninja 300s CC bikes on the track anymore. So
yeah, it's not surprising.
Yeah. So the class itself is that, which is on the unfortunate side of that. So you got the Buell, you brought it back, and so how was it ride? It must have been better riding in New England because of just the temperature wise and stuff like that for you.
Yeah, it was great riding. I mean, had a blast with it. Neighbors hated me. I mean, the exhaust on it was ear-splittingly loud. I mean, I bought it that way. I didn't do it myself, but it was ungodly loud. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Didn't overheat. I mean, it was still very hot. I mean, it was like riding a Ducati. I mean, it just like you would ride with your legs splayed open like 90% of the time because you're just like, I need heat to get in or air to get in here to cool me down. But yeah, it was a fun ride, but I ended up going to the Dragon again with a buddy and my dad. My dad, I took the Buell, and my dad. We bought him a 2012 848 in 2012 when it was new,
nice.
And it was the pearl white with the red rim and the frames.
Yeah.
What a sexy bike. That is one of the best looking bikes I have ever seen in my entire life. So
I had a 2012 red one.
Oh, I love that generation of Ducatis. They're amazing. I mean, I love the new ones and the late teens bikes as well, but something about them.
And was that did your dad know you guys were getting a bike, or was it a surprise for him?
We got that as a Christmas gift for him. I somehow convinced my mother to buy that for him.
Okay.
I don't know how I did it. I guess I'm very persuasive.
Yeah. And so how like what was it like for him? Was he like outside playing in the snow?
He's just a quiet guy. He was like, cool, nice. It's a bike.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Okay. And it's like haven't had a bike in 30 years. He loves V-twins. Like he loves V-twins sport bikes.
Yeah.
So it was like literally I'm listening to like this is like basically what you want. To be fair, it's what I also wanted. That doesn't hurt. But yeah, he was like, it's cool. Rode it from time to time. We'd ride every once in a while, but yeah, I think he's just kind of over it at this point.
Right. So
he does like riding. Sorry.
Yeah. So and you guys went to Tail of the Dragon on that bike, and you took the Buell.
Couple stories in this story.
We like stories.
We've been planning this, and this is this was 2020, so this is COVID just started. And so it was kind of like the vaccines had come out, so things were tailing down. This was like August or whatever, 2020. And I was like, Dad, we're going. You need to the bike's making some funny noises. You need to take it to the Ducati dealer to make sure, just give them, a once over. Yeah. And he's like, yeah. Eventually calls them like a month before, like, I will see it in like 2 or 3 weeks. It was like a week before we were leaving. And I was like,
oh, wow.
I told you, man. And what happened was the main seal had gone. And so, $3-4 in motor work it was going to need. And so he didn't take it. So we ended up finding some website where we found some dude to rent him a speed triple.
Okay.
I think,
Yeah.
or an
Yeah.
R. It was an older one. It was like 2017, 2016, 2017. So
Gotcha.
we were
Gotcha.
driving. Yeah, we were driving down in a truck with a snowmobile trailer, and we just stopped at this dude's house in Connecticut, threw the bike in the trailer, kept
Yeah.
going down to North Carolina, and then my dad proceeded to just work every piece of chicken strip off the tires on that dude's bike. Like, I don't think that bike had seen more than 30 degrees of lean, and my dad is out there just old manning it straight up, like
Yeah.
scraping pegs around every corner. And it's like, Jesus, man's a menace. Oh,
It was that the first time you saw your dad ride like that?
I knew he could ride for sure, but I'd only ridden with him before. I'd ridden with friends and stuff, but when I had ridden with him, it was just him and me. And so,
Yeah.
like, I knew he was quicker than me, and I was a scaredy cat. But I had a buddy who I just started riding with, and that's who I ended up going with. And he had an RSV4, and he thought he was just, Rossi on the street. Like, he thought he was the slickest thing since sliced bread, that kind of jazz. And it was, oh, this kid would just be trying to like trail brake and just do whatever he could through corners. And he's an RSV4. He's probably got 60 more horsepower than the speed triple.
Yeah.
And my dad is hugging his rear tire like I've never seen before. Just this kid would come out of a corner, blasting the throttle, and see my dad sort of disappear, hit the brakes going in the next corner, and there's my dad right behind him.
Yeah.
Hey, what you doing? The kid's like leaning over, trying to drag elbow, and my dad's just standing straight up.
Yeah.
Falling right behind him. Like,
love it.
Dude's a menace. He is a menace.
Oh man. And did he talk a lot after that trip? Like, when you guys stopped riding, or he just being cool?
He talks from time to time. I mean, like I said, he's very quiet. So he was talking a little bit of shit to this guy. He was kind of like,
nice.
Oh yeah, I was right behind you. Did you see me back? Did you see me in the rear view? I was hanging out right behind you. And he's like, oh, I like to go slow into the corners and fast out. And he's like, yeah, I like to go fast through everything. So let's go.
Nice.
Oh, that was like, I was like, I want to race. Like, this was a lot of fun, and I clearly don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so on our drive back from North Carolina, I'd just gotten a new job too. So I was making quite a bit more money. And I was like, let's find some good race bikes. And I found an SV 650 for $2,000. And I was like, it's mine. Let's start.
Nice. And so did your dad decide to come back racing at that point, or
no? He refuses to go back on the track.
Huh? He refused?
He refuses. He just knows the animal it'll create. And I mean, he's older. He's in his 60s now. And I think he is worried about getting hurt. Oh. And I think that's kind of his. I think if he gets back onto the track, he would really struggle with keeping himself in check and not trying to outrace the fastest person who's on the track right now, and then getting himself in trouble. And I think that's why he's like, it's better if I just don't do it. Like, then I won't get hurt.
Yeah, so I mean, you might have to talk to John Grush, or have John Grush talk to your dad, because John came back. He was an elder statesman as well when he came back to racing, and he's still at it.
I promise you, I have tried every weekend he would come to the track. I would try, like, I'd be like, he's like, I'm not going to race. I'm like, let's just go do a track day. Yeah. I've got several bikes now. Like, borrow one of them. You don't have to take one of your bikes. You crash it, whatever, we'll fix it. Let's just go do a track day. He's like, I'm not interested. I don't have boots. We'll rent them there. Yeah. Oh, I don't have to. I'll handle that. Let's just go. And he's like, nah. I'm like, okay, whatever, man.
It sounds like there's another Christmas gift coming up. You might have to tell Mom, buy a Penguins date.
Oh my gosh, she would be so mad. She would be so mad, but it would be worth it.
Right.
I'll take that one on the chin.
Yeah, for sure. So you got the SV, first gen SV, second gen SV? Second gen, nice. That's what I started on at the track as well. I think I had an 03.
Same.
And it was, fortunately for you, you only sold one bike. I've sold maybe 5 bikes. I think I've had 13 bikes since 2012.
I'm getting
so I have 6 right now. And I sold, and I wish I kept them all. So
I'm with you.
So it's just like now I'm keeping them all, but at the time I was just buying and selling, and I was like, you know what, I missed that bike. I missed this bike, and just so I just been holding on now. So what was that like? What was it like going to the track for the first time? Even though you mentioned that your dad raced and stuff like that. Did you go to the track before you started racing just to check it out, or not racing, just doing a track day? I'm not sure if you did a track day first, or like me, I just did the penguin school and started racing.
I did the same thing.
So
Never been to a track before in my life. I mean,
yeah,
I'd been to a track. I'd been to Indianapolis, but like not for a race. I just went because I knew it was Indianapolis, and it's cool to see these big tracks. But like,
right.
nope, never been to a track day. Never threw my leg over a race bike. Never did a lap around a track or anything like that. I just showed up for Penguin School. Did my rookie race, and then went out there and raced that weekend.
Yeah, same here. So what was it like? For me, like where was I? Turned 6, 7. So between 7, 8, and 9 on my first lap session out over there, I'm like, what am I doing out here? I definitely was just like nervous and had no clue. But by the end of the day, I knew I was going back. But it was definitely in the beginning. I was just like, people are passing you. I knew nothing, as anyone would when they first start and go into the track. So like, what was it like for you?
I mean, it was a very similar experience. I mean, I was obviously quite scared, intimidated. There's all these people who've probably been their whole lives. A big one is, and I'll say it to people, especially like guys that talk about like on street riding and stuff like that, like, oh, I'm this, and I'm like, okay, well, go to the track and you'll find a 12-year-old who will blow your doors off on a 300. Like, they will make you look like an idiot.
Yep.
And you're on a 1200 super bike with all the gadgets and whistles or whatever, and they will middle of a corner. And so like that humbles you very quickly.
Yeah.
And then you have to, I think a lot of people have to make a choice. It's like, can my ego sort of handle this to a degree? Like,
yeah.
And obviously that's whatever. Everyone makes that own choice in their own way. But I was like, it hurts, but I would like to get better and be able to then go and race those people and like, be that competent where I can also hold my own. And, maybe someday, 5, 6 years from now, someone else will be coming to the track and I'll be doing that to them just unintentionally, just trying to do my race, not realizing it's their first day. And here I am like humbling them to a degree. So,
Yeah.
it's just the way it goes, circle of life.
Yeah, it is. It is one of those things. Like you're absolutely right. You have to humble yourself. There's a lot of looking in the rear view and driving home and talking myself off the ledge. And wanting to go back, right? Because it is there's so much to learn, and it's like organized chaos because people are passing, so it's not like everyone is new today at the track. You know what I'm saying? It's like a few people, and everyone has different, like you say, people have been there their whole life, and stuff like that. So you really do have to humble yourself, and when you start racing, you're at the back, and depending on how quickly you learn everything, you can like I hung out at the back for some years, especially like I went from a twin riding twins from like 2012. And in 2016, I decided I wanted an inline 4. When I got my inline 4 R6, like 2016 and 17, half of 17, like I was at the back just trying to just get used to the inline 4 engine and not even to think about like, getting fast, because I did the twin was so natural because I had like 4 years on different twin bikes and stuff like that. So you do have to humble yourself and just, some people who are naturally quick and they'll go really fast in the beginning. But for a lot of us, you're just, you're in it for a few years, just, figuring it out and learning corner by corner.
Yeah, for sure. I think like hanging out the back. I mean, I feel like you just have to get used to that real quick. Because like, yeah, you're gonna start in a novice and you're gonna hang out at the back for a little while, and then you're gonna get quicker, and then you're gonna be at the front, and you're gonna be winning races, and it feels amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then next week they give you a bump, and now you're right back to the back, and you got to do it all over again. And here's the fun part: it's gonna happen again.
Yep.
So like, I feel like a lot of people, like, if you want to stick through it, you just have to get comfortable with that. That like, it is a constant learning, and like, you just have to be comfortable with like, you are not Mark Marquez,
right?
You are not Rossi.
Yeah, and I think, and people may comment on this and not, and I think once you get, and I don't know where you are as far as the license class, but once you get bumped to an expert, and you're an expert and you're racing against retired, for lack of a better word, professional racers, it's you're not, unless they take a day off or they're hurt, you're not going to win again as an expert at a lot of tracks. So
No.
you have to get used with being in the middle. You might ride up front with some of these guys if someone like Ian and stuff like that, who we've seen just keeps getting quicker and quicker and stuff like that, and where he's challenging those guys. But I've in the last 10 plus years, I've seen people get bumped to experts. They might get middle of the pack, and I don't know their reasons for not showing up. But then you don't see them start showing up as much, and I wonder how much of that is ego, because getting in the sport later in life and becoming an expert, there's a chance that you might not get on the podium if you've been getting on the podium as an amateur and as a novice if you're at Loudon, or some of these other tracks. If you're an amateur for 3 years and you're getting trophies, and now all of a sudden you're an expert, and you're 10 seconds behind, and now you got to find that 10 seconds at at every track you go. And that's a lot. So I say all that to say is, like, I think there's some people that, their ego do get to them, and instead of just going out there and finding a different reason other than getting a trophy to still go out there and race, because I'm an expert now, and I know I'm not going to, if middleweight, I know I'm not going to win, anytime soon, because there's so many fast guys out there and women out there right now, and expert and stuff like that. But, I'm still like, I still want to go out and do it. But I do find that I see some people don't come back racing anymore. And I think some of that is just their ego. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I think it definitely is. I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm a novice racer. And I've definitely had moments, like I am certainly not as fast as anybody in the classes or the experiences above me. But, like, I have moments where I'm like, do I want to keep doing this? Like, is this really, like, this is a lot of money. This is a lot of time and effort. This is an entire weekend, and I'm tired and hot and I'm sweating. Like, I don't have a $30,000 camper to hang out in the AC. I'm sitting in the bed of my car while it's 90 degrees outside, sweating all day. So, like, I completely get why, like, some people, they work their way through novice, they work their way through amateur, they get into expert just to realize, like, I am never going to see the podium ever again. And I mean, I commend it to some degree that people know themselves enough to be like, that's, like, I like riding, but I'm not going to keep spending this kind of money just for the love of the game. I'll just go out and do a track day, that kind of thing.
Yeah. No, yeah, it is, and which I don't know. I mean, I you have to go to track days because that's where you get to practice. So, but I love racing. It's just I just love it. I
do love racing. It's that I'm very competitive. I love the competition of, like I said, like, there's been moments where, like, I've had a tumultuous sort of couple of years. I think I've been racing for 4 years now, 5 years, but like, just something always comes up. This, I talked about it earlier, stuff happened this year and kind of had to take the year off. One year my motor blew up after the first weekend, and it took me like 2 months. Like, I rebuilt it myself. I split the crank, took everything apart, cleaned it all out. Like, it was spitting coolant into the oil, so it was just, like, everywhere. So that took me a couple months to completely put back together, and thankfully the motor's been doing fine ever since. But, like, stuff like that happens. So I wish I could be consistent and get out there and start riding and stuff, but
yeah. So
it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll talk more about, at getting through the adversity of the track, because you never know what you're going to face when you show up. But let's go back to, you got I assume you still have the SV. Are you still racing that bike?
I still have that. Yep.
You're still racing that bike.
Put too much money into that thing.
Nice. They're nice bikes, man. It's very good bikes to learn on. Now, where did you get another track bike? Is that your only track bike?
That is my only track bike, is the SV. Yeah.
Got you. And so, like, when you got to the track, and you say you're camping out, and I've been there. My Audi wagon, was for a few years with a U-Haul rental open trailer. Then I was able to get like a 5x8 trailer towing with my Audi wagon. Then I was like able to get like a Dodge Dakota to pick up to as I'm adding more weight, right, kind of thing. So, like, for you, did you go into the track? Was it just you and your buddy? Did you already know people at the track? What was that experience like, as far as, somebody saying, hey, do this, don't do that, giving you information and stuff like that? Because I find like, there are some good people at the track that will see you struggling and come give you some advice. So how was that for you?
I to start off, I went into it with nobody. My dad was my resource, and like I said, he's not a very social guy, so he didn't maintain any of those contacts. So it was just him and I showing up one day. Um, I think it was like the first tech I ever went to. My buddy Nick, didn't know him, just some kid. We were just in line for tech. He's like, "Hey, do you want to go to New York Safety Track?" And I was like, "Okay, sure, I'd love to." And then
Yeah.
from there, it became a budding friendship kind of deal. We're friends to this day. But like that first year or two, I was going almost. It was a Capital Region Riders. I think they had like a day at New York Safety Track, and Nick was buddies with the guy who was running it. So
Yeah.
they would do it, and I would drive down to Jefferson and do New York Safety Track those first couple of years. So that was great. But I mean, everyone is generally pretty friendly. It can be really intimidating. There are kind of like a lot of cliques
Mm-hmm.
at the track,
Mm-hmm.
and that's sort of stuff that I generally just try to stay away from. Like, I'm not looking for another gossip circle to a degree. Like, I like hanging out with people. Obviously, it's easier when there's a bunch of people who are friends together, kind of deal. Um, but yeah, like where I ended up posting up, I just happened to be around a bunch of SV guys somehow, and
Nice.
so
That's
like
nice. Gravitate to
we
each other.
yeah, we ended up naming like our little street out in the infield as SB Alley because there was like 4 or 5 of us at one point, all with SBs.
Yeah.
And then obviously, Nick, I was hanging out with Nick. Nick, I don't know how he knows Troy, or maybe they just met at the track. But
Yeah,
I ended up,
they just met at the track, and because where they pitted.
yeah, and same sort of I ended up Nick ended up pitting there. I became friends with Nick. Nick was friends with Troy from meeting Troy. I ended up becoming buddies with Troy, that kind of deal. So everyone's pretty nice, and everyone generally will give out advice. Like, I've done it before. Like, I'm not an expert or whatever, but I've been riding before, and sometimes it helps to just get a little bit of feedback. Like, I was following this girl, and we're going into the bowl, and she was like really slow coming out of the bowl, and I stopped her and I was like, you can hammer on the throttle. Like, I'm on a bike with twice your horsepower, and the second I go through the apex, I'm full throttle all the way
Mm-hmm.
through that corner, like
Yeah.
all the way into 7, 8, and then obviously like off throttle going into 9.
Yeah.
And it was just a quick, like, sometimes it helps just for someone to say, like, no, just stay on the throttle, like, you got it. Like,
Yep.
I was right behind you, and you were just. I think it was a miscommunication. She was like, "Oh, it was the outlap." I was like, "Oh, sorry, my bad." Then I didn't realize or whatever. But
From the time you get on the track, full throttle.
yeah, but yeah, everyone is
Oh,
generally pretty nice, very willing to help. Like, people just giving out parts and stuff like that from time to time, especially too. So yeah,
yeah, that was one of the like crazy things. Like, it's just like seeing that people willing to just give you stuff to go compete next to them. And as we've stated, like, it's very competitive. Everybody wants to win, but not to the detriment of like, no, I want to win because you can't ride, your bike is out. You know what I mean? Or
yeah,
you're hurt or whatever the case may be. Like, people want to win and beat somebody who's in good health and their bike is in good health, and be, and just go straight up. So it's pretty cool. It's definitely changed how I look at things. I mean, I see even on the streets, like, if I'm on my bike and I'm pulled over to make a phone call or whatever, I see people asking me if I'm good. If I'm pulled over in my truck, no one is stopping. No one is
no way.
saying you're good at nothing. The motorcycle community is pretty amazing that way.
I mean, that just happened to me. I ran a flat. I have a 2020. My newest bike is a 2024 S1000,
Nice.
and I had a flat tire on the highway. Some kid on a Harley just stops. Hey, what's going on? I was like, that's a flat tire, whatever, waiting for, a flatbed.
Uh-huh.
And he runs over. He's like, I got some tools. I got this. Like, we can try. I'm like, sure, I'll give it a try. Shit, man, you're here. Like, let's give it a
Yeah.
try. And he had this like little air pump thing. I was like, it's just not going to do it. It's just not enough. And then eventually some other guy in a truck pulls up,
Yeah.
and he was like, I saw you. I turned around. I came back. Like, we can try to get it into the truck. I was like, we can try, but like, I'm not. The three of us are not picking up the bike. Like, I understand we probably could, but I'm not going to. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen bikes falling off, trucks and that kind of deal, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Then a cop pulls up behind us,
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, do you want to help? And he's like, sure. So the four of us lift up the front tire, throw it in the bed, lift up the rear tire, throw it in the bed. We're in the bed, all right?
Yeah.
And I'm like tying one thing, and all of a sudden I hear from the officer, is this GP shift? And I'm quickly like, brother? And he's like, I was like, did you race? He's like, yeah, I raced at Loudon, a while back. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, here we are, like, small town here.
Yeah.
But like that was kind of the thing, is like, you pulled over, three random people just stopped. I mean, one was a state trooper, so I think it was kind of his obligation. But
Right. Yeah. No,
people are very willing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I think we all should ride motorcycles because we will all stop for each other.
Yeah. Fair.
Because it's amazing. So you've been racing now for 4 years. Do you do, I know this year you're not racing as much, but in the previous years, were you going every round? Were you doing, like, how much, racing were you doing on a Saturday, on a Sunday? For me, I was doing 2 races on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. I did try to do 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday when I first went out there, but I was out of shape. So I also want to put that in, like, how much racing are you doing before and I don't know how old you are, before you have to start working out, because, once you start to get, if you want to, get in the teens at Loudon and stuff like that, you're going to have to start doing some kind of working out some way, somehow, just to be able to, do, I don't know, if you want to do 4 to 6 races in a weekend.
Yeah. I generally was trying to do as much as I could. It depends on the week, depends on the day, kind of deal. Like, I'm mostly a fair weather rider. I don't have another set of wheels. I don't really want to spend money on wets. I was trying to just sort of get better and be better before adding in a whole nother variable with water. And I feel like your chance of falling is higher. Therefore, you're going to spend money on fixing the bike. So I was like, to me, it just really wasn't worth the money to spend on a weekend while it's wet. So I'd stick to the dry days. And then from there, I would try to sign up for as many races as I could. But it definitely depended on how I was feeling. Like, there was days where I may have paid for 2 races on like a Sunday, and it was 95 degrees outside all weekend, and I was like, I'm just done. I can't. If I go out there and race, it is a danger to myself and others. And so I just made the conscious decision of, like, I'm not going to do that. I mean, you're talking about, endurance and stuff like that while you're riding. Like, I've definitely hit like lap 6 or lap 7 before, where I was like, I'm done pushing. I'm just bringing the bike home. Because if I keep pushing, like, I was missing shifts going into corners, and I was like, this is just the recipe for me missing the wrong shift at the wrong time, and now I'm going face first in the concrete barrier.
Yeah.
And it's just better to race the next race, go home the next day kind of deal, than it is to, like, throw your whole year into turmoil.
Yeah. And, that's how it was for me in the beginning. Same thing, too hot. If it might rain, if I woke up on Sunday the wrong way, it was just
Pretty
like,
much.
and the same thing. I've had races where I was so fatigued that you breaking turn 3. My muscles arm muscles just gave out, and I like fell on a tank because I couldn't hold myself up braking. And I was probably also riding stiffer probably than I should have and stuff like that, and so I just fatigued myself. But for me, like, I had to start training better, and so that really helped my racing. Now I can, I could do 8 races in a weekend and still drive home and not, and be fine, kind of thing. But I had to start working out because and I was pulling out of races because I was just fatigued, and so after a while I just got a little bit, tired of that. And I also, like, I think I did a penguin advanced class, and I don't know what I was thinking. And I just, asked Eric, would you like, what can I do? He's like, work out more. This is kind of like
thanks, Eric. Appreciate that one.
Yeah. Well, and it's true. You do. So, so do you find that you're starting to work out before seasons and your off seasons and things like that, or are you just, it's a race weekend, you show up, it is what it is?
I just find that that's the least of my worries at this point. I am, like, I wouldn't say I'm out of shape, but I'm certainly not, like, I played hockey for 20 years. Like, I'm very athletic in my younger days. So I'm definitely not in that kind of shape, but I'm not out of shape at this point. So I can handle 3 or 4 races,
Okay.
unless, like I said, it's ungodly hot. You're just sweating all weekend.
Right. Right.
It wears at you and eats at you after over time. So, but yeah, I really don't prep to a degree like that, like exercises, but I have just tried to develop better habits, like on the street, like use whatever time I get to practice things. Like I'm going into a corner, like I'm not hard on the brakes like I would be going into 1 or 3 or 6 kind of deal. But just set up your body for that. Like I
Yeah.
know I'm
Yeah.
coming into a corner, so I want to be comfortable. Like I want it to be second nature. Like if I go to the track tomorrow, I'm not thinking like, oh crap, like I have to remember like I need to hang off this side. This is how I want to put my foot and my leg against the tank to support my weight so I can take that weight off of my arms and like, be a little bit more, have a little bit more endurance throughout, my whole day here. So that's kind of the only real training I do is just practicing some of those better sort of habits so that they're more innate versus thought of.
Right. Yeah. No, I think a lot of us do that. Because we don't have tracks in our backyards that we could
I would
just
love
go
it.
to. So you have to kind of use the streets that way, and and it does make you a better rider on the streets, and vice versa. Doing the things that you can do on the streets to, just even if you don't have a quick shifter and auto blip, but shifting a lot, just riding your bike more on the streets, it just keeps your body more natural in rhythm and stuff like that. And so I find when I take time off the bike on the street and then I go and I have a headless screw in my hand, I find my hand is hurting a lot more. So now like I try to be as conscious as possible to stay on a bike and stay to keep a rhythm, because it's like like hockey or anything, you kind of have to be doing it to stay in rhythm. And where we're on a bike and to do the kind of riding we have to do, and especially up in New England, there's not, even though we have Loudon, and Palmer and Thompson, there's still not a lot of tracks that we can get on in the Northeast, like they are down this way.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just say that's certainly true. I mean, their seasons are small. April to August generally, sometimes September, sometimes early October.
Yeah.
It's just a short riding season, so you got to get as much as you can in while you have the opportunity.
Yeah. So I will, before we get out of here, a couple of things. I'm curious to see how many bikes you have and which ones you have. So that'll be the last thing. But we'll talk about, I don't know if you must know Sergio.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, we'll connect. I'll get him. I'll connect you guys. But he gave me some good advice. Like one of the best things I learned from him, I think we were at CMP, and he's in full gear. His exhaust broke off his bike, and he's in between. I think it was a red flag or something. And normally I would just, if I have a bike issues, it's just going in the garage and in the trailer, and I'm done, kind of thing. And for me, seeing him fight through that adversity in that moment to go back into a race to compete, and talking to him about it, and he got on the podium. I was very impressed by that, and having a conversation with him about it. Just it's like, yeah, man, you have to, like, your bike is gonna break. These things are gonna happen at the track. It's gonna rain. Your tent, you might not get the sleep you want. It might be raining all night. You still have to find a way to, once you're on the track, get the best, do the best you can. And I learned a lot from that, in a sense. Like now, before I would give up on certain things in races if things went right, and now I don't do that, because it's like, that's part of it. That like it's like yeah, if everything works perfectly every time, that's awesome. But like part of getting through the weekend is dealing with whatever mechanical or bike issue or weather issue or whatever the case may be. And it for me, like I went through that myself. I think in 23 with rain tires and stuff like that. And I had to start from like pit lane, in a race, and I was able to get on the podium, and it was just like, in the past I would have just I'm done. you know, and there's a lot to like being in your gear and working out and stuff like that. So have you had a situation like that? And you say you're a fair weather rider, so I don't know how much of that you've had, but have you had an experience where it's just kind of like, I'm going to fight through this thing and get out there?
I mean, you have plenty of opportunities for that. I mean, I have the same thoughts going into races and stuff. Like, there's plenty of times I go to a race and I'm just like, I'm not feeling it today. I don't want to go out there and ride, but I've already spent money.
Yeah.
And, life's not just always going to be given to you on a silver platter. And so a lot of times when you have challenges in front of you, you need to take the first step. Like, really all it does to overcome that is like, you just have to keep putting a step in front of the other. And, I've had my motor blew up on the SV a couple years ago. I had all the valves off, all the covers on it. I was trying to clean out like the coolant, see what was going on. Like, just it was in between races. Like, it happened at the beginning of one race, and I had another race that day that I was like, I want to go race this, and I'm going to do what I can to see if I can resolve this issue. And like, I didn't have a canopy. Like, usually I'm bumming stuff off people, like canopies or a camper, and like staying with people. If no one has, like, I'll sleep in my car, but if like someone's going to offer it, like, sure, I'll leave my bike under your canopy. I appreciate it. Like, thank you. I appreciate it. Very helpful. I try to offer, like, I'll go buy dinner or whatever, that kind of jazz, whatever. But at that point, I think everyone had left. So I'm like in the middle of just like, the infield trying to fix my bike. And I just was like, it's kind of messed. I have to take this home to fix it. So like, we dropped the motor out of it. I had lent my bike to Nick because every time he was going there, I was going to be there. And I don't own a truck or a trailer. I was borrowing them from like my parent or my uncle. So like, I had an STI. So I threw the motor in my STI. Nick took the frame and I rebuilt the motor at home, and then ended up picking up the frame from him at some point, and then putting it all back together. But there's certainly those moments from time to time where you just have to keep like, okay, this is the next step. What's the next step to accomplish this? So like, there's no point in me fretting about it and worrying about it. Just like put one step in front of the other, and we'll eventually get there.
So nice. Yeah. So how many bikes do you have? Since you say you have a few.
I think 5 now. I had 6. I've got the Katana.
Yeah.
My next bike was the Buell, which I sold.
SV.
Yeah, the SV. The SV was after the Buell for sure. And then I think the next bike I bought was a 2010 or 08 CBR 1000.
Okay.
Still have that.
Nice.
And then some dude was just selling like a junk 08 Gixxer 600 for like $1,000, and I was like, oh, this is easy. It's a fueling problem. I'll fix it for $200 and sell it for $7,000. And I just still sitting in my garage. Yeah. I was like, I'll just turn it into a track bike at some point. Why not?
Hey, that 08 would be a nice track bike for sure.
I was like, I'm just going to live the typical sort of racer life where you start out in lightweights and then you're like, I could do middleweights.
Yeah. That's what happened to me. And then I went to the small bikes. After that, mostly to fix my corner speed problem and just mostly for that, because you with a slow bike, you have to do all the right things.
You have to.
You can't be sitting up, going down straightaways and stuff like that.
Big old sail in the wind.
Yeah. So for me, like, I found it really helped a lot. And now so I have a R6 and I have the KTMs that I race. And so now I want to, and I like I said, I started on the SV. So I would like a lightweight bike again. I think that's like the sweet spot. I did try the middleweight bike. I do love it, and stuff like that. But now it's just like, I think I want to go back to where I started in lightweight.
Yeah.
And because I think it's, I'm still going to keep my bike. So I'll still have the R6. So
I sell them.
Yeah. So, I mean, so you got the CBR and the Gixxer. You said you had an S1000 as well, double R.
Yep, I bought a 24 S1000 R. Yep, that thing is slick. Like, all the electronics, I've become so lazy because that quick shifter on it is magical.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I want it on every bike. I want it on my SV, but I'm not gonna take the time and money to invest and engineer that. But it is
Right,
so
right.
nice.
Yeah. And that's it. Is that the latest?
That's it. Yeah, that's
Nice,
all I
nice.
got.
Yeah, I have so I got a Panigale, the 2025 V4 Panigale in at the
That
end
was
of December.
what I was going to buy, and then someone bought it. It was like a year or two old at the Ducati dealer, and they were selling it for like 20 grand. And
Yeah.
at the time, their sticker was like 28. So I was like, I'll buy that. And the second I called, like someone just put a deposit on it. So I was like, screw it, I'll go kick tires at the BMW dealer. And they're like, we have an allocation. If you want it, we'll let you customize it. And I was like,
Wow.
sold.
Nice. Yeah, I still want to, and I was torn too because it was for me. It was between the S1000 and the Panigale, and the Panigale won out obviously because I got that, but I still want a S1000 R. So I hope in the future one will show up in the garage. Hopefully, you know, one of my kids will drop it off for me. As a Christmas gift or something like that, and the same thing. I like the tech, and these, yeah, obviously these bikes, they're these super bikes. You really can't go wrong with any one of them, regardless of any manufacturer, because they all do more than I can handle. But I think for me, the S1000 I like because of all. It also has a lot of things that you can be comfortable with, like cruise control, and stuff
I
like
love
heated
the cruise
grips.
control.
Yeah, where on my Panigale, I can't do any of those things.
That was one of the things that sold me, is it came with heated grips, and like I had heated grips on the Buell, but I think they were aftermarket and they were huge. They were so thick in like diameter that I felt like I was holding on to like a tree trunk or something. But like the BMWs, like they just felt like normal grips. I was like, oh, these are perfect. But yeah, the cruise control, the heated grips are amazing. I love them.
Right, and all the tech. I assume it has the turn by turn navigation and stuff like that.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, man.
Works sometimes.
And how's the heat on that bike?
It's fine. It is.
It's not a
Obviously,
Buell.
like,
It's not a Ducati.
No, I mean, obviously bikes get hot in traffic kind of deal, but they don't get Ducati hot. Like
Yeah.
my dad's 848, like, oh, that thing put off so much heat. So much heat.
Yeah. And the same thing. My Panigale, I have the full exhaust on it, the acro, and so it's like it's just in one spot, the back of my right hamstring, and I can't ride that bike without textiles or leather, like jeans. Like it'll just be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So nice, man. Sense. That's a nice collection, and so I'm pretty sure you'll probably add to that collection.
I plan on it.
I will say, go find yourself a set of spare rims, man, and get some rain tires. Because for me, it took a while to go on the track with with rain tires. But once I did, man, it's so much fun, and it has so much grip. I mean, you're not going to be right. I don't think anyone is going to put on rain tires and go ride like they were on slicks. So you're going to be kind of testing the grip anyway.
Yeah.
To kind of see, and you're going to realize, oh, I got a lot more grip than I thought I do. Oh, okay. And, and now, like, for me, it's like, yeah, rain or whatever, mixed conditions, I don't care. And I say all that to say, I was like, man, I should have did this sooner. Because, knock on wood, I haven't gone down on slicks on rain tires or anything like that. And it teaches you to be relaxed, right? It teaches you to be, gentle and soft. You're not, because you have to be, and that's what you want to be when you're on slicks. So
yeah,
it really kind of teaches you to just be, just be more present rider, and that's what you need to go fast at the end of the day. And the rain tires got a lot of grip, man. So,
but that was my plan was to do that this year. I bought a set of rims last year. Nice. And then, things happened. I was like, well, I'm just not going to invest more money into that right now. But so they're just sitting in the shed waiting for next year.
Yo, I listen. The same here. Same here. I'm hoping I could do a couple of track days later this year, but a lot of it will be next year. I'm working on my schedule for next year. But yeah, same here. This year has been a very interesting year. I definitely want to thank you for coming on the show, man. I appreciate you taking some time and telling your story. Oh, one thing before you go. So your dad is going to the track and watching you race, and I know he's a quiet guy, but like, has he said anything about, man, that's cool what you're doing? I'm glad you're doing that. Like,
Yeah, I mean, he definitely, he likes going to the track. He likes the bikes. He likes watching, and he's very supportive. Of course, I mean, he's my mechanic and pit chief and unpaid engineer and my truck driver. So he's well loved and appreciated, and he also shows that back in his own way, his own soft sort of way.
nice. That's awesome, man. Hopefully, when I get up there, because I should be at the Classic next year. So if you're there, hopefully I get to meet him and you in person and stuff like that. But like I said, I want to thank you for coming on, Tyson. I really appreciate it. Can you tell people your social media stuff if you want to? So if people want to connect with you?
Oh, I was like, what is it? I think it's Bison Ternard, frankly.
All right. Well, I'll say this: just send it to me, and we'll put it in the video, and
sounds good.
and get it out there, man. Again, I want to thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. My name is Rex 45. It's the Be Forever Cool podcast. Peace.